Okay, what we're not about to do is sleep on the boy Alhaitham, all right? He's coming, he's gonna be cracked, and let me tell you why.
Show me muscle again. Oh, Hercules, Hercules, Hercules.
What's going on YouTube? It's Ledger here once again. This time at you again with some more Genshin Impact, of course. And this time it's time to talk about the boy Dendro Keqing, aka Alhaitham, the Giga Chad himself. Alright, he's coming to the game. We're actually gonna get a live stream for him this weekend or so, maybe Friday or so, talking about him. But beforehand, I want to just get into it and tell people why. If you aren't in the character, you should really be excited for when he's about to come. Because what do I think? I think he's gonna be great. And there's many reasons why I think that, right? But first, let's address the elephant in the room right here. Everybody's calling him Dendro Keqing, right? Now, what does that mean? Well, honestly, that's not necessarily a bad thing because Keqing right now is strong anyway. But the thing is, I wouldn't buy into the whole Dendro Keqing thing too much. Why do I say that? Because even so, yes, a lot of people have seen the leaks and so on and so forth, and you've seen how he looks like, and his kit does resemble Keqing a lot, visually, right? But keep in mind that is only visually, right? How the way his kit works is very different, right? And he's gonna be able to do more different things than Keqing, simply because of that. And his scaling is different, all kinds of stuff. So basically, yeah, his E and his burst look similar. That's it. That's where the similarities end, all right? So I wouldn't buy into that whole Dendro Keqing too much there. This kind of happens with every character. Whenever a new character comes, people always try and say, oh, they're this version of this older character. There's this version of this older character, you know? And honestly, that's not always really the case. Yeah, like it's not really always the case. Like there's always some differences, and the character comes out and we learn more about them. We tend to learn more and more of their differences, you know, till they become more of an individual character. Like let's take Yelan and Xingqiu, for example. Very, very, very similar characters. But even how similar they are, the longer Yelan was out, the more individualized she became. That's why people would want to choose Yelan over Xingqiu or vice versa, you know? So yeah, so that's the thing. And I think it's going to be very similar in this case, right? Even more so different. So that's the thing with that, right? Now, one of the main things that I think is going to make Alhaitham much more cracked than people realize is the simple fact of how versatile he's going to be, right? Now, I do think his best team is probably going to be spread teams, right? So just Electro and Dendro units. If you have Nahida, then have with Nahida. If you watched my previous video that I had on Nahida, I did call that Nahida was going to be great with units like Alhaitham and Dia and other units from Sumeru, because that's just kind of the pattern that I feel that the Holy's been trying to go down. But yeah, but as we see now, she's going to be really, really good with Alhaitham. But spread teams are going to be his bread and butter, it seems, right? But that's not the only teams he's going to be able to do. Because the thing is, just like how Keqing applies a lot of Electro, he applies a lot of Dendro, right? And when you have him and Nahida on a team, a lot of Dendro is being applied. And since a lot of Dendro is being applied, you can kind of have fun with some of the different compositions you can do. Now you can try some Burgeon out with him, you know, throw Toma on the team and Xingqiu. Now you can do a Burgeon comp with him because he's constantly reapplying that Dendro, right? So the Dendro isn't really going away. You can do Ice Bloom comp, right? Maybe throw him with Nilu, you know, do that, maybe. I think Hyper Bloom comp or people say Quick Bloom to do spread and Hyper Bloom. I think that is going to be arguably his best team versus just a regular spread team. It's going to take some testing to figure out which one comes out on top, but I do think that that is going to be a very strong team for him, right? So have some Hydro, have some Electro being applied, and you're good to go. Maybe instead of doing Zhongli for shielding, do maybe Cookie, Shinobu to proc the Hyper Blooms. That might be really good. He has so many possibilities, so many different compositions that he can do and different reactions that he's gonna be able to do, because honestly, when it comes to the best elements in the game, I think, well, Hydro is the best element in the game, in my personal opinion. But I think a strong second is Dendro. And to have a DPS Dendro is, I think, is going to be phenomenal, right? Especially if he hits hard, because I do see that they did nerf him, but they did buff up some of the things that he does too. So he might hit hard, you know? I try not to pay too much attention to the multipliers before a character's release, because they always go up and down, they're always changing. So I don't really worry about that with the math and how hard they're going to hit. When it comes to how hard they're going to hit, I pay more attention to that when they come out, unless I'm really excited about the character. Like Dea, I'm probably going to do some of the math and see how hard it's going to hit. But yeah, but that's besides the point, right? That's the thing. He's going to be one of the most versatile units in the game in terms of DPSs, right? Same thing like how Ayato is very versatile in the different types of teams he can be in. I think Alhaitham is going to be even more so as a Dendro DPS, right? Because Dendro can do more reactions. Another thing, a really important thing when it comes to Ayato actually, is he's going to be very easy to build, right? So it's not just about, oh, he's going to be able to do cool moves. It's a lot of it's going to be how you build him, because that's going to be really important, you know? He's an expensive character. He's free-to-play friendly. He's going to be very free-to-play friendly. Why do I say that? Because the thing about him is that he scales off of attack and elemental mastery equally, right? Well, not equally, sorry. He scales off of attack and elemental mastery. So it's going to be easy getting stats for him, right? So let's say you have Nahida or Traveler on the team. They can have the Dendro set, and he can use a 4-piece gilded set, right? You get a bunch of EM, right? He can do 2-piece Dendro, 2-piece gilded, right? Or 2-piece Dendro, 2-piece whatever other Wanderers or whatever might give you the 80 elemental mastery. And yeah, and you can do different things, you know, when it comes to that, right? Or you can just do them in the 4-piece Dendro set if you want to do that too. It's probably not going to be optimal to do that, but it still will work. You can build them with different types of artifact sets. You can or you can do 2-piece EM each, right? And what's easy about that is that you are going to want to be farming the Sumeru domain anyway, and both sets that he wants, or if you did both 2-pieces that you want, are in the same dungeon, so you don't lose when you're farming for him, right? So that's the thing when it comes to that. Even though you want him on the 4-piece gilded, like if you get some good Dendro pieces, you're going to be fine. You still can do the 2 pieces on him, right? So that's going to be good for him too. Another thing too that I didn't want to bring up, I almost forgot, is that the main set you want is artifacts, right? You want to do an EM Sands on him, right? And EM Sands is hard to get, especially good ones. But if you put attack Sands on him, it can still perform well if you have like good subsets on it. So if you have to put attack Sands on him, that's A-okay. You want an EM Sands, but if you have to put an attack Sands on him because he still scales off of attack, you're still going to be good to go for the time being. He's still going to be usable. He's still going to be good, right? So he's very flexible. You can use him in many different ways. He's going to be just fine, right? Another thing about building him is weapons, right? Now he has a signature weapon, which is pretty good. I'm not going to show or really talk about the stats on it, but it's good. You'll see it when it comes, right? But it is a good weapon, right? If you are somebody that likes to go for weapons, I wouldn't say this is a bad decision to do, right? But do you need to go for his weapon? No. Why? Well, if we look, there's many different weapons he can use, right? Mist Splitter is going to go on him because he does have the Dendro Infusion, so he's going to be able to take advantage of those stacks. This might end up being his second best weapon. I didn't do the math, of course, but I do think this might be his second best weapon right here, right? Jade Cutter is going to go well on him, right? I mean, like, he doesn't have any HP scaling or anything like that, but just the sheer amount of crit rate that you get from it, obviously we know why Primordial Jade Cutter is a good weapon, right? Another one right here, Freedom Sworn. He can use the buff on himself. He's going to be using a lot of normal and charged attacks, and he's going to make good use of that EM. This is another good weapon for him. Summon Shaper, that's going to be another good weapon for him too. Gives him a lot of attack. Might not be as good as the other 5 stars, but it's going to be better than some 4 stars. Black Sword, if you got the battle pass, then Black Sword, he uses normal and charged attacks. It's not going to do anything for his burst, but this is going to be really good for him. It's going to give him some crit. It's going to give him some damage percentage on his charge attacks and normal attacks, which you're going to be using if you're using him. right? So that's the thing when it comes to that. Iron Sting, another good one right here. Gives him some EM, gives him some damage percent. Right there's another good one, right? The Event Weapon, another good one. Alley Flash, high base attack, EM, another good one, gives him some damage percent. If you have a shielder with him, if you have his Li with him, which is one of his best teammates, you know, there's just so many possibilities when it comes to that. And another thing that always is a plus when it comes to these characters that makes them really free to play is if they go well with a 3-star weapon. A lot of times you're gonna be using him with a shielder. Hopefully you have his Li. If you don't, that's fine. There's other shielders you can use. Yeah, if you have a good shielder with him, you can use Harbinger of Dawn. That's gonna give him a lot of crit stats, which he does want. So that's the thing when it comes to that. So you get a lot of crit rate and crit damage from a 3-star weapon. Obviously, it's not gonna be as good as, you know, some of the other options, but it's gonna be pretty good. And I bet you it might outperform a couple 4-stars, but we'll see what happens when the testing's done, right? That's another thing right there. He is such a flexible unit. He's like, there's so many possibilities with him that if you are a newer player and you are looking for a DPS, this is not a bad choice whatsoever, in my opinion, of course, right? I do feel confident behind that. Now, he is going to be competing with some other characters, right? Mainly, possibly Zhao, maybe Hu Tao, so on and so forth. Actually, you know what? I think I might just go into that. I'll go into who you should pick when it comes to other characters, maybe after the live stream when the other banners are announced, and make that its own video. I do think Alhaitham is going to be a really good pick for your account if you're a newer player. If you're a veteran player, do whatever you want. You should know that by now. But if you're a newer player, don't all the doom posting that happened with Alhaitham, don't worry about it. If you like him, go ahead and get him. If you're on the fence, you know, let's wait till they announce the other rerun characters that are coming with him, and then we can make a more educated decision when it comes to that. All right. But yeah, you know, things are looking good for Alhaitham. You know, he's got the Dendro, got the reactions, and he got the muscles. Let's go, man. You can't lose. All right. Now, yeah, but with that, I'll end that there. So if you have any comments, if you have any questions, or you have any 2 cents you want to add in, definitely feel free to comment down below. I love seeing you guys' feedback, whether it's criticism or praise or just, you know, just something that you wanted to add to the discussion. That's okay. If you like the content, definitely like the video. And also if you do like my content, definitely subscribe to the channel. It definitely helps me out. I'm on the road to 1,000. All right. I want to hit 1,000 by March. That's my goal. All right. So if you guys can help me with that, that'd be great. You know, I'd love to see it. All right. But with that, I'll end it there. Legend out.